Welcome, one and all, and to Talking with Tom and Jim. I've already screwed up. Let's just go home. Talking with Tom and Jim. Tom Goldrup, Jim Goldrup. Thank you guys for being here. They are film historians. They've written 4 books about the golden age of Hollywood. They're actors, writers, obviously, and have the craziest, coolest stories. And so we are always happy to be talking with Tom and Jim.
And we're also world travelers.
Yes.
Yes.
World travelers. And what else? And they're not Beverly Hillbillies. Matthew was not here for that, but that is pretty amazing. I will talk about that in another segment. I can't wait to see the look on his face when we talk about all that. But because he doesn't know it's coming. But Matthew Rose is here and he's back. So thank you for being here.
Hi guys. Love you guys. Miss you guys.
Brand new office.
Yeah, great.
I made it out of wood.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's my favorite place on earth.
And it's very you.
It's
Very
me.
you.
Yeah. It's like peeling open my head and looking in my brain. This is exactly how it looks inside my head.
Oh. So we were talking last time about Star Trek, and we talked and talked and talked, and we have so much left to go. So let's keep talking about Star Trek. And I will start off by mentioning Harry Towns, who was in The Return of the Archons. I was wondering what you guys could say about him or stories about his career.
Harry started out in summer stock, and he got into Broadway. He played for a number of years. He played in Finian's Rainbow. He played a leprechaun on Broadway in Finian's Rainbow. And then he came on out to Hollywood, and he had a long career in films. One of the plays he was in was Night of January 16th, and he played the character that you played in the same play out here.
Prosecuting
attorney. And the defense attorney was another actor that we knew, Russ Conway, and another actor that was in the play played Dr. Kirkland, and I played his part out here, and that's our good friend Walter Reed. But Harry Towns, he loved his dogs. He had several big dogs there at his house up there in the Laurel Canyon, and he's from Huntsville, Alabama, and after he retired, he went back to Huntsville, Alabama, and we visited him out there also, and he spent the night there, and he had these antique beds from the days of Henry V or somebody that we slept in that night.
Oh, wow.
But good actor, nice guy. And one regret he said he said you could write this in our book and tell people he's sorry that he never got around to it sometimes, but he got a lot of fan letters and he never quite got around to answering them.
Oh.
But he worked in practically every show on TV, and Perry Mason and Star Trek and Alfred Hitchcock and Gunsmoke and name it, he's probably been in.
I'm sure Twilight Zone.
And real nice guy. He plays in Thriller with Boris Karloff. He was in that. He played some not so nice people sometimes in the movies, but like a lot of the people we got to know, they're some of the nicest people you'd want to meet in real life.
Yeah.
Even though you wouldn't want to meet them in REEL, real life.
Very well played. That was very good.
The story I have is this episode, The Return of the Archons, is the general plot is that everyone on this planet are zombies basically, and they're controlled by this computer called Landru, and it's very. This is my opinion, but I view it as being very anti-communist. That there's a society where there's no individualism, right? And everyone's controlled by this computer. And the Archons, the ship that had gone to the planet before the Enterprise was called the Archon. And so this society knows that the outsiders, they call them archons, and they're scared of them, and because they have individual thought, right? So anyway, I was in rehearsals for a play once. I wish I could remember which the play it was.
1984.
No, but I was directing the play, I think, and I remember I was sitting there in the row of chairs, and the actors were up on stage doing something, and Phil Hopfner, our good buddy Phil Hopfner, great actor in his own right, is doing a scene, and for whatever reason it breaks up, or we break, or someone screwed something up, and he looks up and he looks at me across the stage, and he says, "Wait, are you archons?" And as soon as he did it, I freaked out because I knew what he was talking about. No one else in the entire theater knew what we were talking about. But we had this moment where it's like, you know the archons? You too? It was just so funny. And I remember we had to break at one point for lunch or something, and I ran right up to him like, "Okay, we need to talk about the Return of the Archons." I can't believe someone else said, yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay.
So I saw Harry Townsend in that. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good one." But I remembered that story with Phil.
Did he play the Archon?
No, he was Harry Townsend was kind of like a spy. He was like part of the underground resistance against the computer. And so he kind of, once he figures out that they're not from the planet, he helps them, infiltrate the.
He was a good guy in that one.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's a very good guy in that. Yeah. No, it's a good episode, very good episode. But you're right. As soon as you, just like everyone else that you're talking about, as soon as you see his face, you're like, I know that guy. I've seen him in everything, right? And speaking of that, let's transition to Whit Bissell. And we don't have to spend long on him. I do want to talk about it. We've talked about him in other episodes, and that's why. But he was in The Trouble with Tribbles, which is probably the most famous Star Trek episode there is. And he's been in everything, and has the coolest name on the planet.
Well, Whit Bissell's been in about every other film ever made, and the ones that he wasn't in, every other film ever made was an actor named Edgar Buchanan. Those two guys, I think, made more movies than anybody.
Wow. That's a good trivia question. Like, who's really been in the most, or which two people have been in the most movies ever? I mean,
probably Tom London would be one of them. He started out in the real early silence, and he went way on up into the 1950s or 1960s. He's been in literally hundreds of things.
Oh wow! Part of me is jealous of that. Like, that's the type of career I would want, just to do a bunch of little parts and bunch of movies. That's fantastic. Really,
yeah,
cool.
Matthew. One of the things that I realized was with Whit Bissell. Once I knew him, like once we started talking about the books, your guys' books, and once I kind of registered in my mind who he was, then I started seeing him everywhere. Right? He's not a star, like he's not a lead bill. It's not like he's not Harrison Ford, right? But he's in everything. It would not surprise me if he was in a film with Harrison Ford, because he had such a long career. I just you see him in everything now, like I do. Like, oh, there he is. There's Whit. I always I love saying it. There's Whit Bissell. There's Whit Bissell. Oh look, there's Whit Bissell again. There's Whit Bissell, because he's just in everything. He's the mad scientist in I Was a Teenage Werewolf, or he's in The Trouble with Tribbles, right? As the he runs the space station.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He was in there. He saved Kevin McCarthy.
Right.
But Jim was in a film with Harrison Ford.
What?
Oh, you were saying that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What film was that?
The risky point. I'm uncredited. I won't speak in line with my film debut. MGM film directed by Italian filmmaker Michelangelo Antonioni. And if you check it on the
Internet Movie
Database for the credits, the uncredited people are listed in alphabetical order. And right above me, my name is Harrison Ford.
Whoa!
That's the closest I've come to stardom.
Well, that's closer than any of us ever came, so that's really good. That's excellent.
Yeah, it shows that, you know, some make it and some
Some
don't.
make it, some don't. Yep.
Well, the fun part about like not making it big is, I think, is these careers that are so interesting. It's the regular people who wind up living in Aptos, or, you know, just wind up like, okay, I'm going to knock out as many movies as I can because I enjoy it. There's certain beauty to that, I think, that I really appreciate. You know, they just like, it was the love of movies. It wasn't for fame or being known. It was the fact that they just kept wanting to act and do things. Do you think when they were making The Trouble with Tribbles that they knew that that was going to be an iconic episode, or did that feel like every other episode of the time, do you think?
At the time, they thought it wasn't popular. It was in its initial run, when it ended syndication, it got popular. People protested when it went up. But as far as the Nielsen ratings are concerned, it never was popular.
I mean, when it was kind of a surprise that it was so big of a show.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
It's the one everybody knows. It's the one
yeah,
that
yeah.
non-Trekkies know, or non-Truckers know. You know, everybody knows that one. And you could tell, like, at the time when you watch it, they knew that they were making a comedy. You know, they knew that this was going to be an episode that was a little bit silly and a little bit scary. Because, I mean, in real life, if something like that happened where you were infested with a creature that multiplied that fast, it doesn't matter if it's cute or not. It's terrifying. You know, like, it's going to fill the ship eventually, you know. And so there's that. There's a ticking clock in that one. It just happens to be a really cute creature. Like that, to me, that's a wonderful twist on, you know, viruses or anything like that. Like, what if the virus was adorable but still had to be stopped? You know, I love that episode.
And speaking about the all the people who weren't the big names, if it were just left up to the stars, there'd be no real movie. I mean, you had to have all these feature players and supporting players to make the story.